Witness number one, Ayesha Munir.
So that would
May I
be
start?
Martin Borrman, right?
Yes, it will be our first question. What is
All
your
right then.
name?
Before you begin, Ms. Martin Borrman, I must remind you that you have an oath to take. So, will you please repeat after me, or just say yes? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I pledge to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Well, let's begin then.
What is your name?
My name is Martin Borrman.
Are you in your complete senses and giving this testimony with your free consent?
Yes, I'm in my complete senses and giving this testimony voluntarily and with free consent.
Mr. Bowen, can you please explain your role and responsibilities as Secretary to Deputy for her Rudolph Hess and later to Adolf Hitler?
As the Secretary to Deputy Rudolf Hess from 1933 until 1941, I managed his messages with other Nazi officials. Later, as Adolf Hitler's secretary from 1943 until 1945, I proposed war plans, signed acts into action, and had control over all domestic matters in the Nazi Party.
So when did you first meet Julius Streicher?
I first met Julius Streicher during my time as Hess's secretary, but I was aware of him before meeting him as he was the popular writer of the Der Streicher newspaper.
How popular was his magazine, Der Stürmer, during the leading years up to World War II?
Well, the Der Stürmer were extremely popular. There wasn't a single person who didn't know who Julius Streicher was in Germany at that time. The newspaper was read by many, and its political cartoons appealed even to younger children.
Okay, so Mr. Bowman, can you please tell what type of content was typically published in that magazine?
Well, Der Stürmer published anti-Semitic content, including articles and political cartoons that depicted Jews as the root of Germany's problem and promoted the idea of racial purity. It also promoted that the Jews cannot live with Germany and Germany must be free of them. And it used stereotypes and false accusations. And it sparked mass hatred against Jews and it influenced the public opinion.
So can you describe the impact of Der Stürmer on the German population and towards their reaction towards Jews?
Yes, well, as I've mentioned before, that in his newspaper, he published false accusations and political cartoons that depicted Jews as being horrible and carrying out acts such as ritualistic murders. And this sparked mass hatred against Jews and it influenced the public opinion to create further hatred towards the Jews.
And how did this magazine, Der Stürmer, influence the specific policies you were in charge of that?
Well, I was in charge of the policies of euthanasia program and the final solution. So the Der Stürmer's analysis and propaganda influenced my support for the euthanasia program and the final solution. Its portrayal of Jews as a threat helped justify my support for the euthanasia of Jews in concentration camps, and it shaped the implementation of these programs and swayed the opinion of the German public towards these programs.
Mr. Martin, did Der Stürmer propaganda influence your views and actions, particularly concerning with these programs and final solution?
Yes, it did influence my opinion as well because I found support for my plans in the magazine, in the newspaper.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
May it please the court. My name is Daulat Khan, and I am the co-counsel on the behalf of defense. And I'm here to witness, and I cross-examine the Martin Borrman. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, please. Yes, please do so.
Borrman, you mentioned that you were not compelled to testify, correct?
Yes.
And you have agreed to testify against Mr. Streicher in exchange for a lighter sentence, isn't that right?
Yes, that is correct.
So, Mr. Borrman, it's fair to say you have a strong incentive to provide testimony that supports the prosecution case.
Well, my incentive is that I get to have a lighter sentence and save my wife.
You stated that you were Hitler's secretary and managed his communication, proposed war plans, and signed acts into action, correct?
Yes.
As Hitler's secretary, you were deeply involved in the Nazi regime's highest levels, right?
Yes.
But Mr. Streicher was not involved in the logistical planning or operations of the final solution, correct?
Yes, he was not directly involved of it, but it was obvious that everyone knew that the Nazi party was heading toward the final solution.
So, in any knowledge he might had about the final solution could have been indirect or hearsay, isn't that true?
Well, he was member of the Nazi party, and the Nazi party, everyone was aware that we were heading towards the final solution.
So, Mr. Borrman, being a member of Nazi party, you testified that dear Stürmer was influential in Nazi propaganda. Do you have evidence that Mr. Streicher directly ordered or knew about the extermination plans?
No, but it was indirect that he probably knew about it.
In fact, you said that Streicher's newspaper advocated for non-violent deportation of Jews to Madagascar, correct?
Yes.
So Mr. Streicher's public stance, as reflected in his newspaper, was for deportation rather than extermination, correct?
Yes.
After Streicher's expulsion, did Streicher have any influence on Nazi policy or operations?
No, he did not have influence on the Nazi policy, but he had influence over the public.
So any influence dear Stürmer had was significantly reduced after Streicher was expelled, correct?
Yes, correct. But the euthanasia program and the final solution program had been implemented into place before he was kicked out of the party.
But Mr. Borrman, you also mentioned that dear Stürmer never mentioned the final solution because Hitler banned all newspapers from mentioning it, correct?
Yes, he did not mention it because Hitler banned it, not because he did not know of it or he was not aware of it.
So it's possible that Mr. Streicher was not even aware of the final solution details due to this ban.
Objection, Your Honor.
On what grounds, counsel? On what grounds, counsel?
The defendant is asking the opinion of Mr. Martin.
Sustained. Please go ahead, Daniel Attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. So while dear Stürmer may have influenced public opinion, the implementation of the policies like the final solution was driven by the high order, high ranking officials, included yourself, correct?
Yes, it was given by officials, but the newspaper that Julius Streicher ran helped influence the public's opinion.
Finally, you testified that the final solution and other extreme measures went far beyond what Streicher proposed in his newspaper, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would like my co-counsel to share a screen of Exhibit B, in which there was no clue or there is no evidence that Mr. Streicher was present in any protocol meeting, in any meeting, then how he could be in the propaganda?
Please share that screen.
Your Honor, there is uh, in this protocol meeting, Mr. Julius Streicher was not present. If he was a member of this Nazi party, then he should be called in this meeting.
Counsel, your point is taken. You may please begin, please resume the cross-questioning with the witness, and then you can address this particular thing in your closing statement.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
All right. Thank you, witness. You are excused. Mr. Martin, you are excused. Thank you. All right. Does the prosecution have any other witness to present?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call Amon Leopold to the stand, please.
All right. Yes, please.
Mr. Goethe, am I audible?
Yes, attorney, you are audible and you are allowed to present the witness.
I'm presenting Amon Leopold. Am I audible to the witness? Please confirm.
Yes.
You are audible.
All right.
So I would like
All right.
to...
Mr. Amon, before you begin, you just have a formality to take the oath, prosecution attorney. You may please be silent for a moment. So, before you begin, Mr. Amon Leopold Goethe, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I swear to tell everything that is truth and nothing beyond.
All right. You may please begin with your direct examination, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Goethe, could you please state your name?
My name is Amon Leopold Goethe.
Where and when were you born?
I was born in 1908 in Vienna.
Could you please describe your educational background for me?
I was sent to study agriculture in Beethoven, but that was never my true calling. It was never my choice. My parents forced me to study there.
Kindly tell me when did you join the Hamburg and why?
I joined Hamburg in 1927. That was motivated by my personal desire in order to revisualize and unify Austria free from the Austro-Marxist influence. That was my main purpose and my main desire.
And why you chose to leave it and join the Nazi party?
I left Hamburg in 1930 because the leadership compromised with the Social Democrats that I thought was a betrayal, and I joined the Austrian branch after leaving the Hamburg Austrian branch of basically the Nazi party because I thought that joining this would fulfill my desire, would fulfill my point that was to unify Austria free from the Austro-Marxist influences.
Could you please tell me what were your activities during the early years of the Nazi party?
I was involved in the smuggling of radios and weapons into the Austria after the Nazi party was declared as illegal in Austria. I was even arrested for it for the once, but I became more careful, and this was my primary duty to be there.
Okay, so could you please tell me what was your role during the war, particularly in 1941?
Can you please repeat the question?
Could you please tell me what was your role during the war, particularly in 1941?
Okay, so at that time I was promoted to Einsatzführer in 1941, leading a group which was tasked with eliminating the resistance leaders and other, we can say, the racial groups, undesirable groups, which included the Jews as well. Our main purpose was to eliminate those groups.
Could you highlight what do you mean by the term eliminate?
Eliminate was of the concept that we want them to leave Germany, sort of, and we don't want them to be involved with the Germans, other parties, other ethnicities, other groups, whatever they want.
So could you please tell me how did you manage your group and how did you manage your group?
I was assigned at the Kharkov Plazo camps first of all, while I was assigned the party after smuggling of the radios and weapons. At there, I saw the construction of the camps, which is using prisoners, and managed the liquidation of the ghettos and as well as the camps, which is transferring the prisoners to extermination camps and culling those who were sick and that were unable to be transported.
Could you please tell me what was the psychological condition of people of your group that were in part of this whole process?
Obviously, in this extreme situation, psychologically, none of us was fine, but the newspaper Der Stürmer, as we all know, that was started by the Julius Streicher. We used the propaganda which was used in that newspaper to reinforce the ideology among our groups, our peoples, and to help all of us overcome the hate or overcome the squishiness we were having, which we were facing, or we can say that we were afraid. In short, we can say that the attempts which we were doing, or the acts which we were forced to do, that were out of the humanity, because we have to transport or eliminate people. So in order to keep ourselves stable, in order to keep ourselves working at the normal pace, we use the propaganda that was used in Der Stürmer, the newspaper.
So could you please tell me what terms and what wordings of the Stürmer influenced you and your group?
Can you please explain the question?
I'm asking about the ideology behind the Stürmer. Like, how did it influence your group? How did it help you out? How did it inspire you? This is what I'm trying to ask.
Basically, the ideology used by Der Stürmer, the newspaper at that time, was hate among the Jewish people, and we were also of the view that we have to eliminate other groups. Other groups also include Jews. So it was, we can say that, a sort of coriander on the food to add the taste in the food, that we were already finding the ways in order to remove all of the other groups, which includes the Jews. And Der Stürmer, the magazine, it was the we can say that it played a crucial role in showing the true faces or realities of the Jewish people, that the regret that we were feeling after doing these steps of eliminating the Jewish people, we were not regretting, because we were able to see the reality of Jewish people, the hate they were having against the German people. So we can say that yes, the ideology of Der Stürmer, the newspaper, played a very crucial role in our work.
So why were you fired from your position?
I was accused of stealing from the state, as well as not following the camp management regulations. I even take you can say the bribe, not the bribe, but jewelry or the expensive things from the Jewish people who were the wealthy prisoners. But I believe that was the need of that time, and higher ups were not able to understand what the actual situation was at the camps. So when I went against them, obviously I was fired by my higher ups.
So how do you view your actions and ideologies now?
I don't believe that cruelty was necessary for the operation or the ideological cause, but it was needed for us to maintain the orders that were given by the higher ups. And obviously, just Der Stürmer, which was mainly focusing on or promoting the ideology of Nazi party, and we were given orders from the Nazi party. So we can say that those actions, if Der Stürmer would not have done all of that, um, we can say that if Der Stürmer would not have used all of the extreme things, extreme methods, extreme publications, Nazi party, I think so, would not have taken such large steps. And we were the subordinates. We have to follow the orders from the higher authorities. So I think so that cruelty was not necessary at that time. But if it was given as or taken as an option, Der Stürmer did played a great role or did a good work in carrying out that order or in carrying out those orders that were given to us.
Thank
Role
you.
order. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Honor,
Thank
that
you.
would be it for the direct examination.
Thank you, Learned Counsel. The attorney for defense may now cross-examine the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Roth, you mentioned in your affidavit that you were raised mostly by your aunt because your parents were busy with their publishing house. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, well, would you say that your upbringing had a significant influence on your views and actions in later in life?
Objection, Your Honor.
On what grounds, counsel?
It is irrelevant.
Counsel, Mr. Noman, can you please establish the relevancy of this question?
Your Honor, I actually want to know the background and motivations of the witness.
All right, I'll allow the question. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Would you say that your upbringing had a significant influence on your views and actions later in your life?
To some extent, we can say that yes. Because I have always seen my parents being busy and not giving the time to us. So I was having a different opinion and I was having a desire, or we can say that aim. So yes, you can say that.
Well, you stated that you joined the Hamburg in 1927 and later the Nazi Party in 1930. What motivated you to leave the Hamburg and to join the Nazi Party?
Because the leaders of Hamburg
Objection,
was
Your
not...
Honor.
On what grounds, counsel?
It has been already asked and answered by the witness.
I do not think so. Counsel, you may please proceed. The witness may please answer the question.
Your Honor.
I previously mentioned that why I left Hamburg was because they were not whatever my aim was, whatever my desire was, or whatever my point of view was, they were not according to that, working according to that point, and I felt a sort of betrayal. That is why I left that and I joined the Austrian branch of Nazi Party, because I thought that whatever my point of view is, that is to free Austria from Austro-Marxist influences, that would be better. That Austrian branch of Nazi Party is mostly favoring, or they are doing whatever I want, or they are following my desires or my aims or my point of view. That is why I left Hamburg and joined Nazi Party, Austrian branch of Nazi Party.
Well, you mentioned that you fled to Munich after the Nazi Party was declared illegal in Austria. During this period, were you under significant stress and pressure?
Yes, we were under the significant stress and pressure because obviously Nazi Party was declared illegal and we had to carry out the functions that we were ordered to do. So obviously carrying out illegal actions is sort of a depressing sort of depressing sort of work for us. So yes, we faced some depressive thoughts.
Well, you also indicated that alcohol helped you cope with this stress. Would you say that your judgment and actions during this period were influenced by your alcohol consumption?
I am thinking that you have just taken the point of your interest. Apart from alcohol, yes, I had taken alcohol, but apart from alcohol, the Stürmer, the propaganda that was used in the Stürmer, that was also playing a major role in while going through that time of the depression.
Well, so let me clear it again. Your actions and your judgments were influenced by your alcohol consumptions, right?
My actions were not influenced by alcohol. I used to take alcohol just to relieve the depression. Not, I neither mentioned and I never had that that fact that my intake of alcohol was affecting my actions. That intake was just to relieve the depression for that specific time. But yes, I can say that the propaganda that was mentioned in the Der Stürmer magazine, yes, it played a crucial role in implementing my actions or changing my actions, because that Der Stürmer, the propaganda that was mentioned in the Der Stürmer magazine, it was slowly, we can say, that brainwashing everyone, because as we are of the fact that we have to remove all of the other ethnicities, all of the other groups that included the Jews, and the Der Stürmer was clearly propagating the hate against the Jews. So yes, we can say that instead of alcohol, Der Stürmer itself played a crucial role in changing my actions or whatever.
You were promoted to Einsatzfeuer in 1941. Could you explain the criteria for such a promotion within the SS?
I was promoted because I was continuously working from 1930 in the Austrian branch of Nazi Party. I was promoted with the authority, or we can say with the work, to oversee, we can say that oversee the concentration camps that the peoples or Jews that were accommodated in the or other ethnicities that were accommodated in the concentration camps. We were given the authority, or we were given the duty to manage them, to manage the population that was in there, and to follow the orders that were given to us.
Well, after promotion in the same role, were you given specific orders regarding the treatment of Jews and other groups?
Yes, because of the overpopulation, we were given specific orders that the old or sick people, we have to eliminate them. We have to, not in the clear words, but in hidden words, that we had to kill them, so that we had to maintain the population, as the camps were getting overpopulated and we were not having much place to facilitate all of the people or all of the Jews or other ethnicities in those camps. So yes, we can say that we were given specific orders like these to eliminate the sick or old people.
Well, and these orders came directly from higher authorities within the Nazi regime, correct?
Yes, these orders came from the higher authorities of Nazi regime, but I will add the point that Der Stürmer was one of the major and supporting newspaper or publicating source of the Nazi party, despite the fact that it clearly didn't mention the killing of the Jewish people, or it didn't give order for the killing of the Jewish people, but it brainwashed the minds of the people. It and started an idea among the people. It started an idea of killing of Jewish people among Germans, or it started the idea of hate against the Jews, specifically Jewish ethnicity among the German people. So we can say that we cannot say that directly the Der Stürmer or Julius Streicher had the influence of saying that to kill people, but indirectly, yes, it played a crucial role in giving of the orders that were given by the head of the Nazi party.
Well, in your affidavit, you stated that you had to maintain the ideological commitment of your guards. Was this done solely through materials like Der Stürmer, or were there other methods as well?
Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. In your affidavit, you stated that you had to maintain the ideological commitment of your guards. Was this done solely through materials like Der Stürmer, or were there any other methods as well?
There were other methods as well, but again, I will say that Der Stürmer actually gave that idea, or that gave point of view, or it gave us that crucial point to start those initiatives, because before the Der Stürmer, there was a hate among Jewish people in the Germany, but it was not at that extreme of killing of the Jewish people. After that hate started, as I have mentioned in my affidavit, that government's main authority or main function was to educate children from the pictures or from the books, and the Der Stürmer, that newspaper, explicitly added the exaggerated cartoons and which clearly showed the hate against Jewish people. So we can say that it has indirectly link or relation to each and every action that is taken by the Nazi party, as it was one of the main or leading publishing source of Nazi party. And at
Well,
that
you
time,
also,
obviously, that was a crucial time. That was
Learned counsel for the prosecution, you may please ask your last question from this witness. We are running a little out of time on that.
thank you, Your Honor. So, Mr. Jyoth, as the last question, you are testifying here today as a part of bargain with the prosecution to avoid a death sentence. Is that correct?
it is correct not to avoid the death sentence basically, but to uphold the justice that if I am being convicted, despite the fact that I had done wrong, and that was given, that was because of obeying of the orders, but the actual person who was main background, or who was the main source, who actually started all of this, I think so. He also needs to be punished or evicted, or he also needs to be considered as guilty. That is why I had taken this section of testifying today.
So, winding up, your testimony today is influenced by a desire to avoid the death penalty, isn't it?
Not basically, not directly. It is, but not directly.
So it is. We can
Yeah,
consider it.
sort of.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, counsel. The witness is excused. Since I believe that the prosecution do not have any other witness to present, we may safely begin towards the defense side to produce their first witness. Is the defense ready for that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And who is going to be the first witness?
I would like to call Mr. Julius Streicher to the stand.
I could not hear you, counsel.
Am I audible?
Yes, Ms. Sayyida Tania, you are audible. However, which team or which character you are representing? Ms. Tania, which character are you representing?
I'm representing Julius Streicher.
All right, the defendant witness one. All right, before we begin further, I just want to, just repeat the oath after me. And so, Mr. Julius Streicher, would you just please state the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I will speak the truth and nothing but the truth.
All right then. Defense attorney, you may please begin with examination in chief of the witness. Defense attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Proceed.
State your name for the record.
My name is Julius Streicher, Julius Streicher.
Well, Mr. Streicher, could you briefly describe your profession before starting this?
I started my career as an elementary school teacher and later enlisted in the German army during the World War I. After the war, I returned to teaching, but the economic conditions were difficult, so I turned to politics and eventually founded Der Stürmer.
Economic conditions after World War I impact you?
Many Germans, including myself, faced financial hardship. I struggled to make ends meet as a teacher and then as a publisher.
And what led you to establish Der Stürmer?
The economic difficulties and my desire to support my family led me to establish Der Stürmer as a means of income.
Can you describe the content published in Der Stürmer?
The Der Stürmer reflected the views of the German people at that time. It contained cartoons and the caricatures, often targeting the people who were responsible for this situation of the German people, and they were the Jewish.
And were you aware of the torture and murder of Jews in concentration camps during the time you published Der Stürmer?
No, for the majority of the Der Stürmer publications, I didn't know about that.
Mr. Streicher, did you personally witness or have direct knowledge of the torture and murder of Jews during the time you published this Stürmer?
No, I didn't.
Or, Mr. Streicher, did you advocate for the violent extermination of Jewish people through this Stürmer?
The Stürmer may have contained some inflammatory speech, but I didn't advocate for any.
Did you agree with the
all the policies of the Nazi party, and I was kicked out of that party because of this. But I was in agreement with the fact that the Jewish people uh, were the but the Jewish people were responsible for all the problems.
Thank you, Mr. Streicher. That's all for today.
All right. Thank you, learned counsel. The prosecution attorney may now please cross-examine the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Streicher, you are the editor and publisher of Der Stürmer, and you were responsible for its content, correct?
Yes. I was responsible.
Is it true that Der Stürmer frequently published anti-Semitic articles and cartoons?
Yes. But it was a reflection of the common belief of the German people.
Can you explain why you chose to depict Jewish people in such a negative and dehumanizing manner in your newspaper?
Because the Jewish people were responsible for all the problems of the German people, and I was in agreement with the view that they should be separated from the German people, and should not be able to join such higher posts in Germany.
Mr. Streicher, why did you start Der Stürmer?
Can you repeat the question?
Why did you start Der Stürmer, its publication? Why did you start it?
Because of my financial problems, because of my hardships and my desire to support my family. That's why I started this publication.
And because of your hardships and because to support your family, you started publishing Der Stürmer, which was dehumanizing Jewish families. Is it correct?
It was just the reflection of the common belief of the people, and the cartoons and the caricatures are also the reflection of the common belief of the people. So it was for my financial support.
Mr. Streicher, what were your relation with Adolf Hitler?
I just started the publication and to write the articles about in the support of the policies of the Adolf Hitler, but I didn't ever advocate the extermination of any of the Jewish people.
So, Mr. Streicher, you were never ever a part of Nazi regime, and you were never a part of Nazi party, right?
I was not a part of the Nazis party, but I was in alliance with their agenda and their views.
And you had close relations with Hitler. Is it correct?
No, I just published the Der Stürmer, and it doesn't infer my close relations with the Adolf Hitler.
Okay, Mr. Streicher. So, were you aware that your articles were calling the elimination of Jews and incited violence against them?
I didn't know about that because I was not the part of the logistical operations of the Nazi party. I was only responsible for the publication, and it was simply the publication of the common beliefs of the many of the people of Germany. That's it.
Mr. Streicher, the publication in your newspaper was your opinion, is that correct?
Yes, and it was the opinion of most of the people of the Germany.
And Mr. Streicher, do you know what the power the words hold?
Yes, I know about that.
So don't you think your words were influencing the locals?
But I can't be questioned for the actions of the others. I'm just publishing my views and the views of the common people. So I can be called into question about that because I didn't know about that.
So, Mr. Streicher, there is no difference between opinion and incitement, right?
Um, I have always given the view of separating the Jewish people from the German people, and nothing more than that. So I didn't incite anything.
Mr. Streicher, your newspaper aligns with the Nazi propaganda, and you said there was no as such relation in between. Is that correct?
I have already mentioned that my views were similar to the Nazi party, but I was not involved in the extermination of any of the people, and I even didn't advocate it in my publications in any way.
However, in your affidavit, you said that you have close relation with Adolf Hitler. Is it true?
I always advocated the party policies in the speeches and the views that the Jewish people should be separated from the German people in my policies, which were aligned with the Nazi party, and otherwise there were no such relation.
Mr. Streicher, please answer the question I asked. You said you have no relation with Adolf Hitler, although you accepted in your affidavit that you have close terms with Adolf Hitler.
It wasn't mentioned in the affidavit that I have a close relation with Adolf Hitler. Due to my financial conditions, I started publication of the Der Stürmer, and that's it.
So, Mr. Streicher, do you deny the propaganda in Der Stürmer was not contributing to the hatred and violence?
It didn't contribute to the hatred and violence to such extent because I didn't use the word extermination or anything about killing of the people of Jewish. Of Jews. So it didn't. It didn't mean that.
So, Mr. Streicher, it were your opinions, and why did you have such kind of opinions against Jews?
Because they were the root cause of all the problems in the Germany, and I was just publishing the common beliefs of the people. So it doesn't mean that I'm inciting someone or anything else like that.
Mr. Julius Streicher, do you know how famous was your Der Stürmer? Your newspaper was how famous? Do you know that?
Yes, I know that.
And do you know how many people read it?
Yes, I know that. It was one of the 3 popular magazines around the Germany.
And despite this, you think that it was not influencing the people?
It was influencing the people, but not to such extent that they started extermination of the people or something else, and I didn't know about that particularly.
But somehow it was adding fuel
to the actions of the others.
But somehow it was adding fuel to the current situation. Is it true?
It was a common belief of the German people, and if I have published that belief in my press or my newspapers, so I don't think that I should be called into question particularly for this.
Despite you had no relation with Nazi party, although they put glass in the streets to represent your papers, is that true?
Objection, Your Honor.
What grounds, counsel?
The counsel is trying to trick the witness by asking repeatedly the same questions.
Objection overruled, counsel. Please continue.
Yes, Mr. Streicher.
Yes.
Despite you had no relation, although the Nazi party placed a glass in the streets to place your paper so that people can read. Is that true?
Witness, you may please answer the question.
Because my newspapers displayed their views, and they were in agreement and aligned with their views, so that's why. And it doesn't mean that I have a close relations with the Adolf Hitler or their party.
So that's why the Nazi party supported you. and you
repeat it.
supported them. Thank you, Your Honor. No further.
All right. Thank you, counsel. Thank you, witness. You are excused. The defense may now please present its second witness, which is?
Your Honor, may I call my second witness?
Yes, you may, please.
I call to the stand Mr. Jacob.
All right, Mr. Jacob, are you with us?
Yes.
All right. Before you begin, I have to take oath from you. So, Mr. Jacob, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. The counsel for defense may now please start examination in chief from the witness. Please begin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Jacob, thank you for your willingness to testify. Let's start by discussing your background and your involvement with the Nazi Party. Firstly, please state your full name and spell it for the record.
Of course, Jacob Otto Dietrich.
Mr. Jacob, could you please describe your military services and any other honors you received?
Certainly, I served in German army during World War I, where I volunteered at a young age and as a later awarded the first class Iron Cross for my service.
After the war, you pursued higher education. What motivated you to study political science?
I was drawn to the study of political science out of our desire to understand and contribute to the political landscape of Germany, especially in the aftermath of the war.
Mr. Jacob, you mentioned joining the Nazi Party in 1929. What attracted you to the party at that time?
Initially, I was drawn to the nationalist and anti-Bolshevik message for the party, as well as my connection with industrialists like Emil Khalid, which facilitate my involvement.
Mr. Jacob, in your affidavit, you discussed the founding of the Stürmer by Julius Streicher. Can you elaborate on your observation of Streicher's motivation and methods?
Streicher's motivation seems rooted in his impassioned hatred of Jews and the utilized sensational and inflammation testes in his publication. However, his approach lacked the sophistication and qualification typical of established journalism.
Mr. Jacob, you mentioned the broader propaganda apparatus of the Nazi Party. How does Stürmer fit into this larger context?
Well, this Stürmer propaganda anti-Semitic message, it was just one component of a broader propaganda network controlled by the party. Other media outlets, textbooks, and pamphlets disseminate similar message to a much larger audience.
Mr. Jacob, could you explain the extent of your oversight over Nazi Party publications during your tenure as a rich press chief?
While I had significant influence over party's publication, this Stürmer operated independently and was not directly under my jurisdiction. However, I ensured that all the party-controlled media assigned with the party messaging.
Mr. Jacob, you are saying that the media, all the media were free. Being rich chief, press chief, you had no control over the media. Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
You may please cross-examine the witness now. And please try to keep it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Dietrich, kindly answer the question that what was your relationship with Julius Streicher?
I had a formal relationship, nothing more than that.
Okay, So could you also describe some of the scenes and messages that were frequently published in the Stürmer under Mr. Streicher's direction?
The messages and the other articles which are written in that, I had no messages.
Are you
There is no
stating
messages
that
related to it.
his newspaper had no messages?
I am trying to say that there is no messages in that newspaper.
Mr. Dietrich, you are actually contradicting with the affidavit that you signed to be true and according to your knowledge.
I am trying to say that there is no message from the Nazi party.
No, I'm not asking that. I asked, could you please highlight the themes around which the newspaper revolved?
The paper involved many matters related to urge the people for the violations. It was public opinion. Majority decisions which we make in that society by the reader of that articles in different books, magazines, or newspapers.
Mr. Jacob, in order to save the honorable court's time, I would like you to answer the question that I'm going to ask ahead in just yes or no.
I want to just say that it was a public opinion.
No, I'm going to ask another question, and I would like you to answer just yes or no. Okay. So first, in your affidavit, you said that Mr. Streicher was tempestuous, rash man who rushes into anger and action without consideration of the consequences. Is it correct? Yes or no? It's written in your affidavit. Is it true? Is it yes?
Yes. Yes, it is correct.
So the next question I would like to ask, you also stated that he had an impassioned hatred for Jews, due to which he created the newspaper, which again helped him to reach the fame he did. Correct? Yes or no?
No.
Mr. Jacob, I must remind you that you have stated in your affidavit these terms and you have signed them to be true. I'm just recalling what's written in your affidavit. These are your words. Did you lie in your affidavit?
Objection, Your Lord. Your Honor.
On what grounds, counsel?
Objection.
On what grounds?
Your Honor, in the case facts, it is clearly stated that there is no affidavit of Mr. Julius Streicher. So the opposing counsel
can argue that. Counsel, you can argue that point in your closing statement and not at this point.
Your Honor, the opposing counsel is referring to the affidavit. In the case fact, there is clearly stated that there is no affidavit of Julius Streicher.
Your Honor, if you may allow,
how do you respond to that?
I'm actually referring to the affidavit of Mr. Jacob Otto Dietrich himself. I'm not talking about the Julius Streicher's deposition.
I agree with you, counsel. Learned counsel for the defense, I do not find any substance in your objection. So the learned counsel for the prosecution may please resume with her cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Dietrich, could you please answer the question I just asked in yes or no?
No.
So you're telling me that you lied in your affidavit that you signed to be true?
Yes.
Very well, Mr. Dietrich. I would like to just ask one last question that, have you been convicted of crimes against humanity and are sentenced to 7 years imprisonment? Yes or no?
No.
Mr. Dietrich, are you sure? Because it's a fact that you have been convicted of crime against humanity and is imprisoned for 7 years. Are you sure with your answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Your Honor. That will be all for my question.
All right. Thank you, counsel. So, the witness is excused, and now we are done with the witnesses. So if you want to take a minute or two to gather your points for the closing statement by the prosecution team, you may please take that. Otherwise, if you're ready, then let's just begin with your closing statement. And who is going to be presenting the closing statement? Prosecution attorney 1 or 2?
Prosecution 2. Attorney 2.
All right. All right. Miss Shizza will begin with that. All right, Miss Shizza, whenever you're ready, I'll be waiting. Please begin.
Your Honor, today we had.
Miss Shizza, before you begin, I just have one request that please try to be very concise, brief, and clear about it.
Okay, Your Honor. Your Honor, hearing all the witnesses, it is very much clear that Julius Streicher was biased towards Jews. He used the newspaper to create an environment that would then influence in the elimination of Jews, and now he's just giving excuses. Furthermore, the witnesses provided by our Mandarin counsel in defense himself stated that Mr. Jacob has lied in his affidavit. He himself confessed that. So how can we rely on the evidences provided by the defense? And in that way, and considering the evidences we provided, the defense was not able to deny any of the facts we presented. So in the light of that, I would like to request that Ms. Julius Streicher be held guilty of the crime of incitement of genocide and crime against humanity. Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Is that it? That's very brief one. Thank you for keeping it so brief and clear. Is the defense ready for its closing statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Rahman, let's begin with your statement then.
Your Honor, we stand here to seek justice for Julius Streicher, a man accused of grave crimes. However, the evidence presented showed that Streicher is not guilty of incitement to genocide and the conspiracy to commit crimes against humanity. Your Honor, first let's address the nature of Streicher's work. As the publisher of Der Stürmer, Streicher was involved in journalism, albeit controversial and inflammatory. His publications reflected extreme views, but they were expressions of opinions, not direct orders for violence. Streicher did not have the authority or the power to execute or even directly incite the heinous acts committed during the Holocaust. His role was limited to that of a propagandist, not a policymaker or an executor. Moreover, Your Honor, it was the responsibility of prosecution to prove this case beyond the reasonable doubt. Prosecution cannot fall back on the plea of accused to prove its case. We ask you to consider the facts, recognize the Streicher through guilty of spreading hateful rhetoric, did not have the power or direct influence to incite genocide. His role was limited, and his action, while reprehensible, do not meet the threshold for the severe charges against him. Therefore, we ask you to find Julius Streicher not guilty of incitement to genocide and conspiracy of committing crimes against humanity. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you so much, Leonard Counsel, for the defense. We are now just done with that trial.